All right, buckle up everyone, because today we're diving deep into a film that's got you all buzzing. Sneakers, that 90s classic.
Yeah, it really seems to have struck a chord even decades later.
You want to know why it still feels so relevant today, right? And if maybe, just maybe, the filmmakers had a crystal ball back then.
Who knows?
Well, we've got a whole stack of articles and analyses right here ready to break it all down.
Awesome, let's do it.
So, first things first, for anyone who hasn't seen Sneakers, what's the deal? Give us the lowdown.
All right, picture this. A crew of security specialists, like the ultimate ethical hackers.
Okay, got
They
it.
call themselves, wait for it, sneakers.
Sneakers, I kind of like it.
Yeah, kind of kitschy, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, these guys get tangled up in a wild conspiracy when they stumble across a device that can crack any code, any encryption.
Whoa, that's some serious tech.
Oh, it gets even crazier. It's like a heist movie, but instead of stealing gold or diamonds, they're after information itself.
Okay, now that's a twist. It's not about who has the biggest guns. It's about who controls the data,
Yeah.
right? And that idea feels even more relevant now than ever. I mean, think about all the data breaches and online security issues we hear about constantly.
You're absolutely right. The film throws down this gauntlet right from the get-go. There's this line. It's not about who's got the most bullets. It's about who controls the information. Chilling. How true that feels today.
Seriously chilling. So tell me more about these sneakers who are at the heart of it all. Who are these guys?
Well, leading the pack is Martin Bishop, played by the one and only Robert Redford.
Oh, come on. Robert Redford. That's awesome.
Right. Talk about star power. He's this former hacktivist, still got that rebellious streak, but with a conscience, too. You know, he's trying to do the right thing.
Okay, so it's not a one-man show then, right?
No.
Tell me there are more amazing actors in this.
Oh, absolutely. You've got the legendary Sidney Poitier playing Donald Crease. He brings that cool head, the strategy, the brains of the operation. And, wait, there's more. Hold on to your hats. We've got a young River Phoenix as Carl Arbogast.
Wow, what a cast.
Right. And it doesn't stop there. Dan Aykroyd bringing the laughs as Mother, the conspiracy theorist. And then we've got David Strathairn as Whistler, a blind sound expert who proves that sometimes listening is more powerful than seeing.
That's quite a crew. You've got the Hollywood legends, the rising star, the comedic genius.
Right. And what's cool is that they're not just these cookie-cutter heist movie characters. Each one is fleshed out. They have their quirks, their backstories. It makes them feel real. Plus, River Phoenix's performance. It's one of his last, just adds this whole other layer to the film.
That's heartbreaking, yeah. Speaking of layers, this isn't just a straight-up heist film, is it? I've heard there's a blend of genres going on here.
You got it. You've got comedy, you've got drama, a bit of espionage thrown in, keeps you on the edge of your seat 1 minute, laughing the next.
Sounds like a fun ride.
Oh, and the music. It's like the soundtrack itself is genre-bending. James Horner, you know the guy who did the epic scores for Titanic?
Yeah, I know James Horner.
He brings in these jazz elements, even throws in some sax solos by Branford Marsalis. It all adds to that cool, almost stylish vibe the film has.
Wow, okay, I'm adding that to my playlist right after this. But getting back to what we were talking about, what makes sneakers so relevant to today's tech landscape? I mean, people are drawing parallels all over the place.
Well, at the center of this whole thing, you've got this mysterious black box device. It's what everyone wants.
I'm intrigued. What is it?
Think of it as the ultimate MacGuffin. But this isn't just some random object. It's a device that can decrypt any encryption, any code, any secret. It can unlock it all. And the film forces you to ask yourself, what would you do with that kind of power?
Okay, I see where the ethical dilemma comes in. A device that powerful, in the wrong hands, that's a recipe for disaster.
Right. And it's not just about the tech itself. It's about the humans, the choices they make. There's this character, Cosmo, played by Ben Kingsley. He becomes obsessed with the black box. He thinks it can level the playing field, wipe out debt records, reset the whole system. Is he a villain for wanting to disrupt things? Or is he a visionary? It's a question that's still relevant today.
It really is. It seems like every day there's a new story about data breaches, government surveillance, the power of these huge tech companies.
Yeah.
It can feel overwhelming.
Exactly. And Sneakers reminds us that technology is a tool. It's how we use it, the choices we make, that ultimately determine the consequences.
So true. And speaking of choices, we have to talk about the human element in all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, even with all this advanced technology, it's still people who are making the decisions, right?
100%. And that's what's so fascinating about Sneakers. Even with the best tech, the weakest link is often human nature.
So what you're saying is, even in a world of firewalls and encryption, we're still susceptible to good old-fashioned manipulation.
Exactly. The sneakers use social engineering. It's basically the art of tricking people into revealing information, and they use it to bypass these seemingly impenetrable security systems. Think about it. We face similar tactics every day: passwords, phishing scams. It all boils down to manipulating human behavior.
Okay, you're making me really think about my own digital footprint here. All those passwords, all that data out there, it's a little unnerving when you really stop to think about it.
It is unnerving, and sneakers really highlights how fragile trust can be, how our past actions can haunt us, and how power, even with the best intentions, can be corrupted.
So we've got a group of brilliant but flawed security experts, a world where information is the ultimate weapon and a device that could change everything. Sounds like a wild ride.
It really is, and we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to uncover: the generational themes, the cultural impact, and how sneakers continues to resonate today. We'll dive into all of that and more after a quick break.
This is getting good. Can't wait to see where we go next.
All right, welcome back. Now that we've got a feel for the basics, let's dig into how this film, with its floppy disks and dial-up modems, still manages to make waves in our world of smartphones and the metaverse.
It's crazy, right? It almost feels like they had a time machine, not just a crystal ball.
Right. Sneakers dropped just as the internet was starting to take off, but it somehow managed to tap into so many of the issues we're grappling with now: data privacy, online security, the power of big tech. It's wild.
So it wasn't just a fun heist movie. It actually sparked some real conversations.
Exactly. And there's another layer to this whole thing. Sneakers also reflects the sense of disillusionment that a lot of baby boomers felt with their, youthful idealism.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought about that angle. How so?
Well, the characters, even though they're these tech wizards, they're haunted by past choices. They're struggling to find their place in a world that's changing so fast. It's like a mirror for a generation that once believed in changing the system, but now they're kind of caught up in it.
That feeling of wanting to make a difference, but also feeling overwhelmed by how complex everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. And I'm not even a boomer.
Right. It's a universal feeling. And sneakers subtly reminds us that even with the best tech, the most sophisticated systems, the weakest link is often us, humans.
You're bringing up social engineering again, right?
Yeah.
How the films show that anyone can be tricked, even brilliant minds.
Exactly. Think about your own digital life. You've got passwords, firewalls, maybe even security software. But sneakers shows us that security isn't just about tech. It's about understanding how easily we can be manipulated.
Okay, I'm starting to get why this film has stuck with people for so long. It's not just about the gadgets and the hacking. It's about the human stories, the moral dilemmas, and trying to figure it all out in a world that's changing faster than we can keep up with.
You got it. And how did critics react to all of this back in '92 when Sneakers first came out?
Yeah, I'm curious, was it an instant classic?
Well, it did well at the box office, but the reviews were kind of mixed, actually. Yeah, some people loved it. They praised the clever writing and the all-star cast, but others felt like the plot got bogged down by all the heavy themes it was trying to tackle.
So it wasn't a smash hit right out of the gate.
Not really. But here's the thing. Over time, Sneakers started to gain this cult following. People rediscovered it, started to see how relevant it was, and they appreciated how it blended different genres. It became a classic in the heist genre, bridging that gap between the old analog world and the digital age that was just starting to emerge.
It's like it was ahead of its time.
In a way, it was. I think part of the reason it's endured is because it managed to take these complex topics like hacking and cybersecurity and make them entertaining, even mainstream. It wasn't just a dry technical film. It had humor, action characters you could actually connect with.
Yeah, a film that can make you think and entertain you, that's a winning combo.
Absolutely. And that influence is visible in other films that came after, like Ocean's 11 and Mission Impossible. They all focus on a team, their skills, their clever plans, not just brute force.
It's cool to think that Sneakers might have paved the way for some of those stylish, tech-savvy heist movies we see today.
Right. And the impact goes beyond just entertainment. Remember that line in the film about too many secrets? Well, that's become a sort of shorthand for people worried about government surveillance, the unchecked power of intelligence agencies in our digital age.
It's amazing that a line from a movie about stealing a decryption device has become part of real-world discussions about privacy and surveillance. That says a lot about how relevant this film still is.
It does. Sneakers manages to be both entertaining and thought-provoking. And that's what makes it so unique. It works on multiple levels.
You've mentioned the film's legacy a couple of times now. What exactly do you mean by that?
It's not just nostalgia. Sneakers still speaks to us in our digitally connected world. It reminds us that information is power, that ethics matter in technology, and that we're all still searching for meaning and purpose in a world that's constantly changing.
Okay, you've convinced me. I need to watch this movie. I want to see how this film from the 90s managed to predict so much of what we're experiencing today.
I think you'll be surprised by how well it holds up. And it's not just about the tech and the themes, it's a genuinely well-made film. The dialogue is sharp, the actors are phenomenal, and the music, that mix of jazz and suspense, is just perfect.
And we can't forget those floppy disks.
Oh, yeah, those are like little time capsules, reminding us of how fast technology evolves. What was cutting edge back then is practically ancient history now. Makes you wonder what people will think of our smartphones in a few decades, right?
Right. Probably look at them like we look at those old rotary phones in antique shops.
Speaking of things that stand the test of time, Sneakers has even found its way into academia, which is pretty impressive for what, on the surface, seems like a lighthearted heist movie.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
What are academics focusing on when they study Seekers?
It's fascinating. They're analyzing how it portrays counterculture ideals, its commentary on economic systems, capitalism versus socialism, and the ethical dilemmas that come with hacking.
I never would have guessed that a movie about a group of security specialists could spark such deep academic discussions. It really shows how smart the film is and how it connects with people on different levels.
Exactly. And that's a big part of why Sneakers continues to resonate today. It challenges us to question things, to think about the consequences of our actions, and to remember that even in a tech-driven world, it all comes back to human choices.
Well, it's clear that there's a lot more to Sneakers than meets the eye. What are some of the key takeaways you hope our listeners will walk away with after this deep dive? It really does sound like there's a lot to unpack with this film. But beyond the serious stuff, you're saying it's actually a fun watch, right? Not just for techies.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Even if you don't know a firewall from a floppy disk, you'll get sucked into the story. The action, the humor, the suspense, it's all there. Plus, the characters, they're not just, cardboard cutouts. You actually find yourself rooting for them.
And didn't you mention something about the Bay Area being a character in itself?
Oh, absolutely. The filmmakers really use the Bay Area as a backdrop. The visuals are stunning, and they capture that, that kind of tech-driven, almost anonymous feel of the place. It adds another layer to the whole experience.
I can't help but keep thinking about those floppy disks. They're practically ancient artifacts now. I mean, do kids today even know what those are?
I know, right? But in the film, they're the cutting edge. It just goes to show how quickly technology changes. What's revolutionary today could be vintage tomorrow.
It makes you wonder what people will think of our smartphones and AI assistants a few decades from now. They'll probably be in museums.
Speaking of things that stand the test of time, Sneakers has even made its way into academia.
Really? That's surprising. What aspects of the film are being studied and analyzed?
Well, for one, there's a lot of discussion about how it portrays counterculture ideals, that hacker ethos. And there's also a lot of focus on its commentary on economic systems, capitalism versus socialism, and all the ethical questions that come with hacking.
Wow. I never would have guessed that a movie about a group of security specialists could spark such serious academic discussions.
Right. It just shows how intelligent the film is, how it works on multiple levels. And that's a big reason why Sneakers continues to be relevant today. It encourages us to think critically, to consider the consequences of our actions, and to remember that even in this increasingly tech-driven world, it all comes back to us, to human choices.
Well, you've definitely convinced me. I'm adding Sneakers to my watch list right now.
I think you'll enjoy it. It's a great blend of action, humor, and thought-provoking ideas.
Sounds like the perfect movie night. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Sneakers, is there one big question you want our listeners to ponder? Something to chew on after they watch the film?
How about this? If a black box like the one in the film existed today, who would control it? And what would we be willing to give up, to sacrifice, for the promise of total security or a world where information is truly free? There are no easy answers.
Ooh, that's a good one. Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Sneakers. It's been a fascinating journey.
My pleasure. It's always a treat to revisit such a timeless and thought-provoking film.
And to all our listeners, until next time, stay curious, keep those digital footprints clean, and remember, information is power. Use it wisely.